Alright guys, so yesterday big news came out from the Hearthstone client. Suddenly, and I think for out of nowhere for a lot of people, for a lot of players, but also for a lot of pro players, there was a balance announcement, and they are balancing 4 cards that are currently, I can say, pretty dominating the meta. If we take a look at what cards are getting nerfed, it are Patches the Pirate, Bonemare, Corridor Creeper and Raza. They are definitely some of the most impactful cards that we have around now, especially more in, like Patches, Corridor Creeper and Bonemare more in the tempo-based decks, Raza of course in the Highlander. So yeah, big news, really happy, let's start it with that, really happy about the announcement that there are nerfs coming in, because I think it is definitely... It's really nice that there is a little bit of a refreshment. The meta was really not getting anywhere. It didn't really solve itself, the meta. So really happy to see the meta changing a little bit now. But let's take a look at the balance changes. So first one, Patches the Pirate. Patches the Pirate, he is losing his charge. Patches the Pirate is no longer in charge anymore of Hearthstone, huh? So... really big nerf. I am kinda surprised that they still nerfed Patches. Like, what they did with Patches is what they did 1.5 years too late. Patches was probably the biggest mistake ever from Blizzard. To make that card and never touch the card. I think it's one of the worst designed cards, or like just one of the worst cards that we ever had in Hearthstone. And yeah, I'm super happy they do something about it. Could maybe have done it a little bit in another way, but I think this way is fine. But it's just 1.5 years in my opinion. Like I've mentioned it multiple times, Patches is the worst card design, like for a long time. And yeah, super happy to see that they are touching it, but it's really late. Like really, you could have seen this coming like 1.5 years ago when he was. Played for the first times. We survived like a really aggressive aggro shaman, pirate warrior, tempo rogue meta where only Patches decks were around. In tournaments people were submitting only a lineup with just 4 Patches decks. It was... the card has been, and was still around, and still so many decks. The card is way too strong for a 1 mana card. Finally, he's gone. Well, he's balanced, I think. He's not unplayable, Patches. He's still playable. Like, it's still strong to just summon it, actually. Imagine, like, it doesn't matter for a rogue to just... it's a little worse, of course, but just summoning it already turn 1 and then playing Captain maybe, or play it with... like, the Captain is the biggest nerf there, because the Captain was always there to give it the charge. That's why people played Captain. So it's definitely a nerf that hits, but the card is not, like, gone. It's still a card... but yeah, you should dust it away though. I mean, you get 1600 dust, so. Next up in the line, Bonemare. Well, from the 4, Bonemare was the one that... if I take a look at these 4, Bonemare was like the lowest problem for me. Or like... yeah, I think they should nerf Bonemare. I think it is good. He was kind of too strong for 7 mana. It was always like turn 7 I have to play around Bonemare. But he was not the most problematic one in a way, or like the most broken one. So, but I'm really happy they did, because I think it was not a cool card. It was really also just design-wise, it broke the 7 mana curve, where it was the only card getting played in every deck as a 7 mana card. So yeah, I'm happy to see the Bonemare going 1 mana up, I think. It became a little bit too strong. It was just too strong for especially the Callous decks, and happy to see that it gets 1. Still, it can be a playable card. You might not play it as a 2-of anymore, but I still think it will seen around. Corridor Creeper! He became 3 attack weaker. Cost 1 less whenever a minion dies when this is in your hand. But look at the stats, guys. It's a 7 mana 2/5. Well, let's say it like this. 0 mana 2/5. Yeah, this card had to get nerfed. Especially because it was in the newest way of the expansions. So it is a card that we will still have like for a long time. And it was way too strong. Like, people play it at turn 2 or turn 3 for 0 mana and aggro mirrors. It completely swings... it made aggro mirrors just coming down to people who had Corridor Creeper in their hand. It didn't matter if you had the better matchup, if you both played with Corridor Creepers. Really had to get nerfed. I don't like the nerf in the way they nerfed it. In the way that they made it a 2-5. I think they could have done some more better nerfs, because from the cards that I see here, I think Corridor Creeper is not getting played anymore. I think Corridor Creeper became too weak. So it's probably not gonna be a card you will see anymore. Besides Shaman. Because in Evolved Shaman, the deck that we also played yesterday, in Evolved Shaman he evolves into an 8-drop. So in Evolved decks he's still pretty good. And then still in 0 mana 2-5. So I think in Evolved Shaman he might still get played, but besides that, like Rogue is not gonna play it anymore. Like, it was always the combo card for them, but you won't see it in Rogue anymore. You won't see it in Zoo. You won't see it in all these aggro decks. It's gonna be a really impactful nerf, because Corridor Creeper was in, like, from the top 10 decks, it was in 8 of them. It was not in Warlock. It was not in Priest, because these two decks are really reactive. But in every other deck, well, the Druid's not always, but in every other class it was played. And that says how good the card was. Like, it was literally in every deck except the decks that play removals. So yeah, big impactful nerf. But it had to be. Like, they had to nerf Corridor Creeper. Raza! So, it is about time, Raza, that also you are gonna be getting nerfed. I'm happy they nerfed Raza. I am happy they didn't nerf Anduin, because I don't think Anduin deserves it. Anduin is not the problematic card. Anduin is a good card, it's a nice card. It just became super toxic with making your hero power cost 0. If your hero power was always 2, Anduin was a really cool card, kinda nice. So yeah, I'm really happy that they didn't nerf Anduin and they nerfed Raza. So with Raza now, your hero power cost 1. What I like about this nerf is that you can, it's still a reasonable archetype, but it doesn't have like this huge burst damage anymore. So this control deck, what is a really cool control deck to play, it just loses its burst. So yeah, I think this was the biggest problem of the Highlander Priest, that it could just deal 40 damage at the end of the game. Now you are not able to deal much damage anymore, but you're still able to like go for a control game plan. You still will have a good matchup against aggro decks. So yeah, I'm really happy they nerfed like the burst part of the deck, because that was the toxic part for me. It wasn't really the control game plan. That's what Priest is. That they could then at the end deal like their crazy Felon turn. That was too strong. So really good nerf. Not destroyed the card. They completely didn't destroy the card. So you might still see Raza being around. You will still see Highlander, especially because Raza rotates out. And in Wild you also have cards like Reno Jackson. It will still be in a good archetype. But yeah, it's nice that they made at least like some balance to it, because it was about time. It's really dominating Standard Priest. It's a deck that you see everywhere. So really happy to see Raza getting a touch. So yeah, 4 cards getting nerfed. I definitely think they touched the right cards. These are the cards from the decks that are powerful that had to get touched. 2 concerns. My concern 1, Warlock. Warlock is my concern 1. I think Warlock is already super strong. Warlock is counterable. The problem with Warlock was like, yeah, Priest was already like really hard for them. You can definitely counter Warlock with like control deckies. There are good strategies you can make against Warlock. So I will not see it as a mega big problem, but it has a really high power level. I don't think it's necessarily cube lock. I don't think it's necessarily control lock. I think control lock will probably be stronger than cube lock. I think control lock is a better deck, and the only deck control lock was really losing too hard was Raza Priest. So Control Warlock, I think there was like something that they could maybe take a look at, either Lecky or Void Lord. Like that combination is like, I don't think Void Lord is too strong, but that can Lecky, Pool and Void Lord is really strong. So that is something that worries me. I don't want them to touch cooldown. I kind of like cooldown as a Death Knight. So yeah, Lecky is a little bit of a card that I'm like, I can see that it doesn't look powerful, but recruit for 5 mana when there are 9 mana cards in your deck is really, really powerful. So that's my concern 1. Warlock. It's already meta super. And also, guys, Warlock, 0 cards are rotating for Warlock. There is not a single card for Warlock that they lose in the rotation. If from the Q block there are 0, besides mixtures, what is like definitely not the most impactful card in the deck. So Warlock is going to be a really strong archetype, no matter what is going to happen. Another card that I would maybe like to see something happening with was Ultimate Infestation. It has been a card that I just think is completely broken from the start on. It became a little bit of a sleeper because people are getting used to it. But I still see Ultimate Infestation a little bit as a problematic card. But yeah, we'll see. Meta-wise, what will happen, guys? Wow, meta-wise. I said it already a year ago, guys. Once patches is gonna get out or getting nerfed, and we are not getting patches versus 2, or like we get a new patches version, control can dominate. Like, there are not gonna be completely ridiculous aggro openers anymore. Like, people gonna open with Fireflies, maybe a pirate with like patches still. But with also Corridor Creeper being out, what was one of the hardest cards for control decks to deal with from an aggro deck. Control is really gonna be... with these nerfs, this is a huge buff to control. Like, a huge buff. Bonemare, Creeper, patches. Like, wow. And Raza. Like, if there was one thing that control was also losing to, was Raza Priest. So, Control Mage, Control Warlock, Control Paladin, like, control decks, guys. They gonna, like, get a huge buff from this, like, really strongly. So that will be pretty big. What are the other decks that can still be sneaking in there? I think Secret Mage is a deck that can really sneak in, because it can be pretty good against some control archetypes. It's pretty good against the Secret Mage. You can now make your Secret Mage a little bit greedier. Like, Secret Mage was losing to aggro decks quite some, so they had to tech for aggro decks. And with that going away, I think Secret Mage can also be one of the classes that is gonna perform better. Druid is not getting, because Druid was one of the only decks that was really good, or could be good against Priest with the armor gain. So I don't think like Druid necessarily is, and I think that now the control decks can always play Geist, and that will destroy Druid. Yeah, so I think Mage, Warlock, and Paladin are the winners. Also Paladin, because Call to Arms is still really strong. Like, that's a card they didn't touch, what is also a really good card. So these are the 3 classes that benefit. What are the classes that gets the highest hits? Rogue. Wow. All these 3 cards are hitting Rogue. Priest gets, of course, the hit. Yeah, and every kind of tempo archetype, like all the Kellicet decks, every deck that played Kellicet, guys, gets the hit. So yeah, first thoughts about the balance changes coming up in February. Not sure when it will be in February, but probably, like it says, the February patch. So I expect to be it in the first week of February, and I'm really looking forward, because they definitely touched some of the most problematic cards.